Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Today we are going to unpack the glute bridge, the importance and some progressions, points of performance, how to do it, and where to go from there. So to start here, a quick overview of all of these things. We are looking at the glute bridge, which is a fundamental hip extensor exercise. So we're looking to extend at the hips. So why are we gonna do this? So the first and foremost, the reason why we're gonna do this is to mobilize the hips. It's just good to get some movement in the hips. We're bringing the hips up and then back down in space. And then the next reason that we're looking to do this is because we actually do want to develop some glute strength. We want the glute max to fire, the larger muscle down there, to help serve in an extensor. So this last part here, we'll see an asterisk, is it encourages a stable midline while extending at the hips. If you can see all that there. And there's an asterisk there because the hope is that it is doing exactly that, encouraging that stability of our midline while we're extending at the hips. Just a quick point about that. The thing is oftentimes when we are looking to extend at the hips, we will use our lower back instead of using our glutes in order to create that extension at the hips. I'll talk a little bit more about this as I get us down on the ground to take a look at the glute bridge exercise, but this is a really important piece, hence the asterisk there. That we wanna make sure that we're creating stability in our midline, in our abdominal structures, and extending through the hips and not through the lower back. And that is one of the more important pieces about why we should do glute bridging. Moving on here, we see basic progressions, and I'm gonna take us through these one by one. At the top there, you're gonna see a glute bridge isometric. So what we're looking for there is to get into the position, hopefully be able to feel our glutes, most certainly not our lower back, and hold and own that position. Once we can do that, we'll move into the glute bridge dynamic, which is just gonna be doing a glute bridge exercise where we're going down and back up, not holding the position, but going down and back up. After that, we'll see we move into a single leg glute bridge isometric. The same idea there about holding the position, making sure that we can own it, breathe in that position. And then the last progression that we'll see there is a single leg glute bridge dynamic. All right, without further ado, bring us down onto the floor so we can take a look at this glute bridge exercise. So, as we were talking about initially, we're looking to create extension at the hips here. So we're gonna be down on our back. All right, our feet are gonna be relatively close to our butt here. The most important piece here is that we've got our lower back flat. If you watch the dead bug video, or if you know what a dead bug is, we're trying to create that midline stability and our abs are turned on. Once we've got our lower back flat, then I'm gonna extend up through the hips. Now for our isometric hold here, we'll have that lower back flat, okay? And then I'm extending up through the hips, and I'm gonna hold this position here, and I'm gonna breathe in the position so that I can truly own this position here, showing that I'm extending through the hips, through the glutes, and not through the lower back. And that's what that looks like there. Now I've got tension in my lower back as opposed to my glutes. So again, as I'm doing my glute bridge, and this exists throughout all of our variations, we want to have that neutral spine or that flat back. Once I've got that, my abs are turned on, I'm bringing my hips up, and then I'm feeling my glutes engage, or in the very least, not my lower back. I'll hang out here for 4 or 5 big breaths. And once I've demonstrated that I can do that completely without my lower back firing, then we can move on to our second progression, which is the glute bridge dynamic. So, same setup here. I'm keeping that lower back flat. Heels are relatively close to the butt. And then we're gonna get that flat back, we're pushing our hips up, and then coming right back down. And this is where we do our glute bridge dynamic, trying to feel the glutes as we extend up and trying not, watch it, to extend through our lower back. We don't want to be in this position here where we see the rib cage exposed and the lower back arch. We want to maintain that neutral spine, flat back at the bottom, extending up through the hips. Now once we're able to do those two progressions there, then we can start to move on to that single leg progression, where now we've got one leg up in the air, and then again, starting with that lower back flat, we've got an isometric hold extending through the hips, breathing those 4 or 5 breaths, making sure that we can do this on both sides, maintaining that lower back positioning, all right? And then with the single leg variation, we're gonna notice that there's a little bit more attention paid, or we should pay a little bit more attention to where the weight distribution in our foot is. We don't wanna be too heavy to the ball of our foot, too heavy to the heel, too far outside, which is a big one. We wanna make sure that the inside edge of our foot also has some pressure. Unless there's something very specific that we're going for here, we want an even displacement of weight throughout the foot. So we've gone over the glute bridge isometric, the glute bridge dynamic, then we just touched upon the single leg glute bridge isometric. Once we've owned that position there, now we're going into the dynamic single leg glute bridge. So neutral spine, flat back, I'm gonna extend up and coming back down. And this is one of the more challenging variations of the glute bridge, where we're really looking for that one side to extend us up through the hips. It's pretty demanding. We're gonna pay attention to where the weight is on the foot. I would pay just a little bit more attention to the inside edge of the foot there, because sometimes the weight of our foot in all glute bridges, but really, it's highlighted in the single leg glute bridge, that weight starts to drift to the outside of the foot, and we need to make sure that we've got that inside edge pushed down. All right. So now that we got some glutes up and firing, real quick, we'll look back at our cheat sheet for the glute bridge, a nice overview here of all of those items that we went over, the why we want to do it, mobilizing the hips, developing the glute strength, encouraging the stable midline while extending through the hips, making sure that we're not extending through the lower back, but we actually do feel this in the glutes, or in the very least not in our lower back. And then some basic progressions here for the glute bridge isometric, owning the position before we make it dynamic, and then following suit for the single leg glute bridges as well. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.